Hey guys, it's Kyla at the MJC, and today I'm here to talk you through the filing instructions for the modification motion. But before I get started, I have just two caveats, two little pieces of information that I want to give you. The first is, as always, that this video is not intended to be legal advice. It is truly just procedural information of me walking you through how to file the motion to modify something. And because it's a video, I'm really not able to analyze your situation to evaluate whether the modification is right for you, whether the timing is right, whether what you're asking for is likely to be approved by a court, or whether what you're asking for is what's in your best interest or your child's best interest. So, if you have questions about those sorts of things, I would definitely recommend some legal advice. You can get brief legal advice for free here in Milwaukee County through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. The second little piece of information I have for you is that this way of filing is the current way of filing during the COVID-19 pandemic. So as I am recording this on December 16th of 2020, this is the most accurate information. However, this information could change once the status of the pandemic changes. So if you are in that wonderful future day when we are no longer deep in the pandemic, you may want to double check to make sure that these forms are, or that this way of filing is still accurate. The other caveat is with the pandemic, things are changing very rapidly. We do our best to stay on top of the remote forms and checklists. However, the further you are out from this recording, the more likely it is that there may be slight tweaks and changes to what's going on here. If you were given this recording, if you found it either through our website or if you got it from an MJC volunteer, then most likely it is still largely accurate or hopefully completely accurate. But if you found it on your own, or if you're not certain, you may want to head over to our website just to make sure everything is as it should be. All right, well, with those couple of caveats on the way, let's get into the checklist. So the first thing I'm going to start with is a little roadmap, just to give you a basic idea of what filing looks like, and then we'll get into some much more detailed instructions. So the first thing you need to know is, what forms do you need to file? There's only one form that you have to have, and that form is the modification motion. And so the modification motion looks like this. Obviously, you'll want to make sure that yours is filled in, but a completed modification, which is this form here. And it goes, you can see it's 3 pages long there. So that's the only form that you must have. You may additionally want a fee waiver. So there are some costs and fees associated with filing this motion. If your motion is to change child support, arrears, or other financial things, then it costs $30 to file. If your motion is about custody, placement, or more than one topic, it costs $50 to file. Additionally, you will need to get the other person served. There's an $85 fee if you are serving through the Milwaukee County Sheriff, and there are additional fees depending on, even if you're serving a different way, there may still be fees associated with that. So, if you look at these fees and you say, you know what, I don't think I can pay those, then you can ask the court to waive the fees. And so you'll need two things for that. The first thing you'll need is the fee waiver document. And so you can see that's the document that looks something like this. And again, yours should be filled in, but this is just to show you what form you need. It does need to be signed in front of a notary. And you'll also need the order on the fee waiver document. That looks like this. And again, just the top will be filled out. You will, in addition to those, if you are requesting a fee waiver, so if you're not asking for a fee waiver, if you just plan to pay these fees, you don't need that document and you don't need this proof of income I'm going to talk about. But if you are using a fee waiver, you will need proof of your income if you filled out section 2. So if I can just show you here, if you filled out this second section, you'll need proof of your income, so a month's worth of pay stubs, or if you receive something like Social Security disability and a word letter or a monthly income statement. If you receive some kind of public assistance, so if you receive food share or Badger Care or SSI, you will want proof of those benefits. For food share and Badger Care, if you can get, if you have an online account and you can get to that little section where it shows like the stick figures and it says for this month these people in your household receive these benefits, a printed version of that will do. Last we heard, you could also use the Access app and show that as well. Again, that page with the stick figures. If you receive SSI or some other funding listed up here, then you'll probably want an award letter or a statement of your benefit through that. So you'll want to gather all of those things. Once you have those things, the basic process for filing is you gather everything you need. You take everything to the courthouse to get it filed with the court. Once the courthouse gives you a court date, you serve the other parent, and then you attend your hearing. So those are the basics. Now I'm going to take a deeper dive into each of those steps. The first step is to gather everything you need. We already talked about the forms that you need, but you'll want to make sure that you review those forms carefully. If you worked with the MJC team, make sure that names are spelled right, addresses are spelled right, children's names are spelled right, all that kind of stuff. And make any edits or additions listed in the chart. So again, if you worked with the MJC team, your volunteers may have written notes here about things you need to change. So add in your ex's address on page 1, caption. And so if you have that direction, then you can go to the form, find the section that they're talking about. So here it wants me to put my ex's address in the caption. So I'd be putting it in whichever line was for my ex. So you'll want to make sure that you've made those changes. Once you have made those changes, you'll go ahead and sign the form. The modification form you can just sign straight up. The fee waiver does need to be signed in front of a notary. There are notaries available in room 104 of the courthouse. You'll want to make sure you bring a photo ID with you. So you'll take it to 104 of the courthouse, you'll get it notarized there. Once you have the notarized fee waiver, you can take the fee waiver and the proof to room 609 to get it approved. And again, that's where you'll also need that proof that we discussed earlier. Once you have gathered everything, so you have your motion, you have your fee waiver if you need one, you have your proof of public assistance or proof of income if you need that, and you have your photo ID for the notary. One last thing you'll need to do before you're ready to head into the courthouse is make some photocopies of the motion. You will need, and you can see in this section, it tells you how many copies you need of each page, or of each document. So you need 3 total copies of the mod. You need the original, so the one you actually sign, the one that's got your pen signature, plus 3 photocopies. Just a few notes on printing. So when you print out the motion and the fee waiver, you'll want to make sure that the originals and the copies need to be single-sided. So there should only be printing on one side of the paper, shouldn't be printing on both sides. The court may not accept documents that are printed double-sided. The other thing to note about printing and copying is if you have somewhere you can do printing, fantastic. Go do it there. If you have a printer, if your friend has a printer, or if your work will let you use the printer, that's great. If you don't have somewhere to print, you have a few options. The Milwaukee County Law Library is an option. They are closing intermittently right now because of the pandemic, so when the cases get too high, they might close or they might have restrictions on when you can go in. So we recommend calling this number, 414-278-4900, to see if they're available on the day you plan to go in and what their policies and procedures will be as far as printing and making photocopies. If the library is closed and you don't want to wait, you can go to your local FedEx Kinkos. They all do printing and copying. Some mailbox stores like Mailboxes, etc., and the UPS store do printing and copying. Some big box like Office Max and Office Depot do stuff like that. So basically, anywhere that you can find a printer, you can contact your local library to see if they're doing printing and copying services right now. And one note, if you live in the city of Milwaukee, is we've heard anecdotally that some of these suburb libraries might be open. So if your local library in the city isn't open, you might see if there's a suburb near you, because those are a little bit smaller, and so sometimes they're able to open when the bigger libraries aren't. So anyway, you'll get all of that done, all the printing. You'll make sure you have 3 copies. And then once you've gathered everything, it's time to go file everything at the courthouse. For those of you that are doing a fee waiver, make sure the fee waivers are approved in room 609. So you'll get it notarized in room 104 of the courthouse, and then approved in room 609 of the courthouse. But when you're ready to file everything, so you will take your original, your photocopies, and everything to room 104. 104 of the courthouse is open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., so is room 609, which is where you can get that fee waiver approved. So you'll take everything in. If you have a fee waiver, you'll get it notarized in room 104. You'll head up to room 609 to get it approved, and then you'll come back down to room 104. If you are not using a fee waiver, then you'll just go straight to room 104, which is where you will pay that filing fee. Once you get there and you're ready to file, you will file the original and the photocopies. The clerk there will take it. They will stamp everything. They may give some documents back to you. They may keep it all. But what will happen eventually is they're going to send you back. So they're going to keep the documents. You're going to head out and everything's done for now. Now you have to wait. But then what you're going to do is they're going to send you your hearing date in the set of paperwork. It may take several weeks to hear back from them, so try and be patient. If it has been over a month since you filed and you have not received anything, you can either contact the court or you can contact us at mjcdivorce@gmail.com to try and help you figure out what your next steps are and if perhaps your documents have been, have just gotten caught up and a little jammed somewhere. Once you get back the documents, you've gotten back your motion, it's got a court date on it, then you need to get the other person served. If you have a fee waiver and you know the other person's address, you can serve it through the Milwaukee County Sheriff if the person lives in Milwaukee, or the sheriff in the county where the other person lives, at least here in Wisconsin, for free with that fee waiver. So the sheriff will take it to them and give them the papers and then give you an affidavit swearing that the sheriff gave the documents to the other parent. If you do not have an address for the other parent, there are some different options for service. And you can see we've got just some of these service options down here. Serving through the sheriff in either Milwaukee or another county. You can serve through a private process server. Private process servers are like the sheriff in that they take documents to people. The bad news is they probably won't accept the fee waiver. The good news is they may be cheaper than the sheriff's base $85 fee, and they also may be able to help you find somebody, to do a little bit of searching to try and track them down, whereas the sheriff requires an address. You can try doing service through a neutral third party. They would have to be an adult who's a resident of the state of Wisconsin or one of our surrounding states. And they need to give the documents to the other parent, the person that needs to be served, and fill out an affidavit of service. Please do note that service through a neutral third party is not always appropriate, so you may wish to get legal advice on that one. And you can serve through Milwaukee County Child Support Services. If they have an address on file, they will mail it for you. They will mail a motion for you. They will not give you the address, but they can mail it for you. And it's worth noting there is a $25 fee that can be waived with the fee waiver. Again, this method may not be appropriate in all circumstances, particularly if you're trying to change custody or placement. You may want to get advice to make sure it will work in your scenario. There are other mechanisms of service. We won't go through all of them now because we only get 15 minutes per video, but there are some of the general ones. Last but not least, you'll want to make sure that you attend your hearing. Right now during the pandemic, it will probably be by phone or by Zoom, so keep an eye out for the directions that the court will send you about connecting to that video or call. That's all for this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you found it helpful. You can reach out to us at mjcdivorce@gmail.com. Now go out and represent yourselves well.